Alrighty gang, I have something cool to show you. As you may see, I have a face cam. That's mostly just to prove a point. I'm using OBS to composite some video together. But obviously I have face cam and I have my display that corner. That's my second monitor. And then obviously in the background behind all this there is a cool kind of animated green background, right? Obviously in OBS you can just import like a video file and just have it play on repeat, but that's not what's going on. This is way cooler and way more complex. So I'll show you how that background video is happening. That's what this is all about. So if you look here, I have Proxmox open. I guess that might be the second thing we'll get to. First, we need to look at the glorious old program of Blender. So let me open up Blender real quick. I'll open up this guy here. So this is a project I was working on. It's pretty simple. It is just, mostly it is this one object. A plane that's like hidden kind of below each of these. A couple people on top of it. As you see here, as I click through these quote-unquote particles is what I call them. Can we make this UI bigger? No, not really. So we have these three particles, which are what move as we play this animation, and then a couple cylinders in the corner, and then a couple squares, right? Pretty simple. Like 90% of it is done with array modifiers and mirroring modifiers. There's actually very few original objects in this scene. But what that allows us to do is some cool stuff with arrays. So we can whoopsies. We can just extend this animation out into the stratosphere. Let me make sure that's still all in by the camera. Yep. So we have that. If we press space, this animation looks pretty similar to the background that's behind me in this whole entire video. Well, that's because it is. Technically the blend file is different, because what we're doing is something super cool. So one last thing to note in this is that these are sharing this pure white material. That's not critical to what's happening. That's just how I got the effects. If we were to set this viewport into, well, it's gonna lag, I guess. Oh, we need a second output here. Composite. I'm using this is a slightly outdated version of the blend file. I'm using the one that I'll show you in a sec is actually the one that's being rendered right behind me. Well, I don't know why that's not showing up. Should be showing up. I don't know. Not a big deal because we'll go and look at it in the computer. Anyways, as you can imagine, Ads probably just doesn't like that I'm running both the recording and the blend file at the same time. But that goes to show a good point. If this background behind me is being rendered in real time, but it's not on this computer, what the heck is happening? Well, actually, some Blender and ffmpeg magic. So we can exit out of that window. If we hop over here to Proxmox, you can see this Blender/renderer. What's going on there? I have a fancy VM over here. It's kind of off to my side, and it has a NVIDIA graphics card passed to it. So if we go and click on, if we open up a console, whoa, it looks a lot like my background. And actually, that's because it is my background. My background is a live stream of another computer desktop being played over ffmpeg. And so why that's awesome, so we could, for example, go to a different display, and actually we could just shrink this, and we could exit it out. Boop. Let's see. Cancel. Okay, so I'll make this a bit bigger so we can see what's happening. So here's the remote desktop of another computer, a VM actually, so we can save this. So what we could do, since we're rendering it real time instead of just looping a video, we could take this downlight, we could come into color, You could, maybe make the background maybe kind of a darker color. You could take maybe this dark purple, save that. You could run this little script, which you don't need the script. It basically all it will do will open a new window, maximize the 3D viewport, and get rid of the gizmos. That's the official term, the gizmos, which is like the, I could show you what a gizmo is. If you go to layout, this icon right here, where you can, click it to rotate if you're not like using a 3-button mouse or whatever, it gets rid of, that's called the gizmo, it gets rid of that. So anyways, we run it, we get this new window, we can now full screen it, and then I can press, obviously we're already in the camera view, but we could press number pad 0, and then we could press home, which will, so what home does, if we just like scroll out, this light colored area is what the camera is actually seeing, and everything on this outside is what the camera is not seeing. So if we were to do compositing effects, that would matter. So if we press home, it makes our window exactly that size. So now if we were to press the space bar, it starts playing, and now we have our desktop with a new background that's being rendered real time, shared via ffmpeg. The ffmpeg command's pretty simple. I could even show them to you here. Probably be easier to do over SSH though. Blender, make this nice and big so you can see it. Alright, so now we are SSH'd into the machine that's running this background Blender animation. So what we can do now is I could show you in Vim the start stream. There's a couple. There's like a command up here. This is the kind of source command I built, trying out a bunch of different presets from online. This is the command that's actually running. So here we start ffmpeg 24 frames a second. We use X11. The X11 grab, it's like the file that's input is the screen. We set to the first display. It's supposed to hide the cursor. Don't know if that actually works. This part was very important, setting the bit rate to the video to be 800 or 8,000 kilobytes a second, so 8 megs a second. Don't know what this command does. This omit video pres length. No idea what that does. It came off of Stack Overflow. But then the important thing is here at the end, we send it over UDP to my laptop, which is what I'm recording this on. We send it to my laptop's IP address and a 1234 as the port. So this, once I run this command, it starts pegging my laptop with, we can exit this, starts pegging it with data. Then from my laptop side, what happens is effectively this 226. So 226 is the IP address of the rendering machine. 1234. This would fail because it says the bind address is already used. That's because OBS is using it, which I could actually probably show you if I bring up the properties screen. I could drag it onto this top screen. So we have local file unchecked. Otherwise, it's like trying to find, obviously, a local file. Like if I had this video rendered out and then just placed on my computer, let's say, you could do it with a local file. And then right here, our input is the IP address of this machine doing the rendering. And then we have that stuff in the background. Ideally, I would like the VM to be running 2 monitors, because then one monitor could be the Blender like real-time rendering output, because we're using the EV engine, so it can do real-time. It would be that on one side that would be getting streamed back to OBS, but then there would be another virtual, the first monitor is virtual, but there'd be a second virtual monitor that would then have the Blender settings open, basically, and so then you wouldn't even see me go into the background. The background would just be the rendered output the whole time, and I could go and like tweak colors, change compositing effects, and it would just magically appear on the background, which would be super sick. But unfortunately, that's not really where I'm at right now. For some reason, it's not working. I was going to try another desktop environment to try and get it working. I was using Awesome Window Manager. It's what it's called. And I was going to try GNOME, because GNOME is super fleshed out, right? Just didn't want to use it before. But yeah, that's pretty much all of that. Real-time rendering, background videos. So my computer doesn't even have to like see any of the load. OBS is obviously encoding right now, so We see a little bit of GPU usage there. CPU usage is still like pretty low, which is pretty sweet. But if we were to SSH into 1, 2, 3, 6, so now this terminal is now the computer that's sitting next to me doing the rendering of the background. NV top. So this shows what the GPU is doing. As we can see, Blender is these first two ones, and it's doing a lot there to compute all this stuff real time. As we can see, it's a GTX 1070. So it's like an old GPU. You can pick that GPU up for probably like $150 nowadays. So like really pretty cheap. And it's using just, I mean, it's even a VM, so it's not even using an entire CPU. I think it's just, I put 4 cores in here, which is pretty overkill. I mean, they're all, 30, 40%, so I can maybe get away with 3. 2 might be getting kind of low. But you can see a lot, Blender's definitely using most of the CPU. But then ffmpeg down here as we're encoding the video to send over, a lot of that's happening on the CPU, because I don't think, the GPU's not doing any of the video encoding for actually the screen capture and passing it over to my laptop. But anyways, super cool. Hopefully I'll be able to get 2 monitors going. If I can, I will then upload a little video, maybe tack that on the end here, or upload just a second video if that works. But anyways, yeah, super cool real-time video background being rendered real-time. So yeah, sweet.